advise that you join us on social media as well so that you would know the very first time we start giving out information on radio. You know when all the programs are airing, and you can familiarize yourself with the presenters as well, because you get to enjoy an audio-visual experience, meaning that you can see the face of who is speaking to you, and you can get familiar with your favorite OAPs here on Milan 98.3 FM. Also, you get information sometimes even before we bring it to radio. As it drops, we drop it on social media, which means that you're already starting the conversation on social media before we turn on the microphone to get your feedback. It's a lot of advantages, a lot of things you stand to gain if you become a member of our social media family. So hurry now to Facebook, to YouTube, to TikTok, to X as well. Follow us. So we are at Mainland 98.3 FM on all those platforms except X, where we're simply at Mainland FM. Do well to turn on your post notification button so that again you are immediately notified when we have any activity going on our social media platform. Fouad will join us via the phone for analysis this morning. We would be looking at the Punch, the Guardian, and the Vanguard newspaper, although a lot of the stories are the same across the pages. It's the same events, and if there's any story that is not reported on one and reported in the other, I'll most certainly bring it to the fore. Let's bring on Fouad as we begin the conversation this morning. Please pay attention so that when we eventually open the phone line, you'll be able to give us your perspective. Today's Open Mic Thursday, which is why I'm prompting you to pay attention, because you are not bound to any story that we select here. You get to be the one to choose the story you want to talk about, which is why I'm imploring you to pay attention as we go through the stories so that you get all the facts of whichever story you'd like to comment on at the end of the day. Again, my name is Sage. How are you doing today? Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Sage. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. It rained a little bit this morning. Did it rain where you were?
Yeah, it's a bit wet. I think over the night, a bit of little shy, but it's still drizzling.
Yes.
Not heavy, but still drizzling out here.
I can't wait for the rains to go.
Most likely, the rains are going to get a bit more heavy during the day. Cloudy.
I just want the rain to go. Let the rain go. I mean, it's enough. I just let the rain go away. But let's get you know how I feel about the rain. It's not a relationship that has been. It's not a good relationship. I don't like it at all. But then let's look at the Punch newspaper. We have here one of the most talked about conversation in the last 24 hours, which is Atiku's PDP exit sparks political fresh storm. That's how the Punch is choosing to report this event. For those of you who have not heard, which I doubt very much, the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party has dismissed former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's resignation from the PDP and his move to the coalition platform, the African Democratic Congress, to challenge President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 state. Atiku formally announced his resignation from the PDP. Now, it should be known, Fouad, of course, you know this, since 1999, Atiku has left the PDP on 3 different occasions, obviously to further his presidential ambition. In 2006, ahead of the 2007 presidential election, he went to the Action Congress. In 2014, he left the PDP to join the APC before this latest defection. Now, the papers are reporting that he defected to the ADC, but his media aide is saying that for a fact he has defected. And when he was asked if Atiku is defecting to the ADC, the response of his media aide was, the important thing is that he has left the PDP. That will be communicated later. That is what the former vice president's media aide said, Paul Ibe. He said, yes, Atiku has defected from the PDP, but where he's going to will be communicated much later. But the papers are reporting that for a fact he has defected to the ADC. So whether or not we should take the word of his media aide or the word of the papers who are assuming that he has defected to the ADC, would wait for more information. But there have been a lot of reactions. But for example, the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, said that the departure of the vice president would not do anything for the PDP. It's not going to pose any setback for the PDP. It has no effect whatsoever. We also have Chief Bode George, a member of the PDP Board of Trustees, who said, and I'm going to quote a part of what he said. I'm reading verbatim now. Atiku's resignation is very shocking to me. I have been praying that the Almighty God will work on his mind and allow him to reflect very deeply and do a very deep-rooted introspection of his political life. He has walked this path before. He joined Bola Tinubu, but they deceived him and he ran back to the PDP. He's no longer a young man. What I can decipher is that his ambition to be president has taken over his inner strength and thought. As a leader of this party, he should realize that what we do in PDP is zoning. 8 years in the north and 8 years in the south. He knows for sure that he cannot get our presidential ticket in 2027. He has to wait till 2031. We don't have the power to prevent anybody from taking the ticket of another party, but in the PDP, no sir, we must obey the ADC. So Fuad, 3 times Atiku has defected. He ran back twice. Whether or not he will come back this third time, we don't know. But members of the PDP don't seem fazed by Atiku leaving the party. If anything, they were never confident in his ability to lead the party anywhere in the first place. And Chief Bode George is saying that his ambition to be president has overwhelmed him so much that he's not thinking about his political career, especially at his age. What are your thoughts?
Well, Sage, I don't think this came as news. And when I say news now, it was all expected. In fact, it came a bit late too. One had expected that before now, just as the ADC was, his announcement of defection from the PDP would have been announced immediately. But I think it took his time, and now he has done the needful. When I say the needful, because you can't belong to 2 political parties at the same time. And he's not going to be the first person now who has announced his defection from the PDP. In fact, there have been thousands of people who have left the PDP, only that nobody's talking about them because they are not as important politically as people like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and others who have made the news. But if you see what has happened with the ADC at the state level, the coordination of the ADC at the state level, you will understand that it's a party that people should keep an eye on. I'm not going to be talking about how good they will be in terms of governance. I'm just saying that, look, this may well turn out to be a major opposition force against the APC ahead of the 2027 election. You see the way they have so far been able to coordinate themselves, carry themselves, and push the agenda forward. I saw the unveiling of the ADC, for example, in Kogi State. And you know that, look, this is no child's play, politically speaking now. Inherit the PDP. Because again, according to him, PDP has not known any peace, real peace, since the conduct of the last primaries before the jump to the ADC. I don't know what is in that to hide, actually, if you understand. But unless maybe, okay, we would announce it in a grand way, the national conference to announce the defection of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar from the PDP to the ADC. And for those who are questioning his decision, who have become historians to tell us this is the third time he's leaving the PDP. What are you? I don't know really if it's not political hypocrisy. What else do you want Atiku to do? He's been a politician as a Nigerian who is eminently qualified to become president. He's been making attempts, and there's nothing wrong in that. Because again, for Chief Bode George is talking about zoning in the PDP. When the people twice they formed a committee, I think one was led by the former governor of Enugu State, Ugwuanyi. And then there was also another committee that was led by the former governor of Benue State, Othon, to take a decision on where the party was going to zone their presidential ticket structure, to do the needful. And when we talk about zoning, for example, if that's what we want to talk about, is Chief Bode just talking about zoning as it concerns Nigeria or zoning as it concerns the PDP? If we're going to be talking about North and South within the PDP, the last person that was president in the PDP was from the South. Say it. President Buhari is not of the PDP, right?
Right.
So if Chief Bode George, are you with me? Say
yes, I'm with you, Ford.
He's talking about zoning as a part of the constitution of the PDP. Are they saying that, look, irrespective of who the president is and the region is coming from nationally, not as a party now, it would have affected any decision concerning zoning within the PDP. Because Goodluck Jonathan came from the south and he was president for 6 years. So if it's about zoning, then Atiku can well say, well, the last person that became president under the PDP was from the south. So I think that it was time for the north to also give it a shot. So you see, the reality is that the party does not seem to have any clear idea of how to function again. I'm just, it comes comical to me when, for example, the governor of your state is saying that they will not miss Atiku. What is left of the PDP today in reality politically? That's a party that keeps going down and down, and the reality is that, look, you will see that, because what I think has now happened is that, look, for people like Wike, who will not allow the PDP to rest, because they think that's the only potent political force against the APC, they now left the party to them, do whatever you want to do with the party, let's see, have to leave. The man was there, he participated in the primaries, which your party allowed him to participate in. He won the ticket of the party. And you guys all went out to do anti-party. Instead of you stopping him before the primaries, you left the thing open. And he played his politics, he won the ticket of the party, and members of your party clearly went about doing the primaries of the PDP. Did he win the ticket of the PDP by force? Didn't he participate in it politically? And even a weekend today that is going about destroying the party. Before the primaries have said that whoever became the presidential candidate of the party will be supported, that he will never go against the wish of the party. He lost the ticket of the party, and then the rest is history. We've seen what he has become suddenly. So it's good not to give it a shot. Why not? If he goes to the ADC, for example, and they give him their ticket, we'll see how it all turns out. And if he decides that, look, for the greater interest of Nigeria, yes, I'll be part of the ADC, but I'll allow somebody else to be the flag bearer of the party while I support the person. Who says it is impossible? It may well turn out that that is the agenda Atiku will be pursuing going forward. But it's too early for anybody to condemn him for leaving the PDP. What are you expecting him to do? He vilified him. People have said he's the problem of the PDP, blah, blah, blah. And now he has decided to leave the party for you. And then the next thing is, he should not have left. He's always doing that. He should have stayed behind to build party. Which party is he supposed to stay behind and build? The party that one person has continued to give problems to. And we'll see what becomes of the PDP under Makinde and Wike. We'll see what the future of that party will be. Maybe they want to control the party. Now they have the control of the party. Let us see what they're going to make out of it.
Well, as I said, that is the most prominent story that we see reported across all our dailies this morning. But whilst we're speaking of the PDP, what's left of the PDP and the ADC gaining ground, the APC themselves are not necessarily devoid of a little bit of turbulence, because the Punch is also reporting that the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari has reignited speculations about the political future of his loyalists, particularly those from the now defunct Congress for Progressive Change, the party he founded in 2009. Since the emergence of President Bola Tinubu in 2023, the influence of the CPC loyalists have waned, with some key figures such as ex-Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation Babachir Lawal openly opposing Tinubu's potential second term. With Buhari's passing 12 million, and tensions have begun to surface between the APC and the ADC, with both parties vying to attract Buhari's political base. The development follows remark by former military head of state General Abdulsalami Abubakar, who suggested that the former president's death could reshape Nigeria's political dynamics. For our side, it is no news that the APC was formed by a merger of three political parties: the ACN, the Action Congress, the Congress for Progressive Change, which is the CPC, and the All Nigeria People's Party, the ANPP. Now, the CPC happens to constitute a bloc that is so loyal to the late former president Buhari, and so there's now been a tussle that since his death, this followership that he has, that many has estimated to be 12 million, they're trying to get them behind themselves. As you know, it's three parties with each, they have their own that came together. And the report is telling us that since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu really took charge of the APC, there's been concerns that there will be opposition within the party. And that opposition has come to the fore, that the CPC, the one that was mostly loyal to former President Muhammadu Buhari, late former President Muhammadu Buhari, might start to oppose President.
Deal with their political future. Yes, a lot of them will try to ride on the influence of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. But as we've seen, the CPC is no longer one. That entire structure of the CPC that eventually merged with the ACN, with the MPDP and ANPP of old, is no longer one. You will see that there are people who belong to the old CPC who are now members of the APC, very active members of the APC.
Right.
And the same old block of the CPC, some of them are already aligning with the ADC. Some of them are floating. In fact, some of them are returned to the PDP. So what you will see is a balkanization of the political structure that Buhari had led for years. They are not going to be able to work together, I tell you. Because again, that's what happens with political leadership. When you have, people who have that father figure or that leader who is able to pull everybody together. Once it's out of the picture, everybody decides what to do with their own future politically. And that's what you're going to see. It's going to be more of where can I get my bread buttered the more or the most, as it were, if you understand what I'm saying. So what they'll be doing is to trade. Who can offer me? Because again, a lot of these guys are after their own interests, really. Although they try to, hide those personal interests under regional interests, under ethnic interests and religious interests. But ultimately, what they try to do is where would they get the best offer of political positions. If I want to become governor, who can give me the party's ticket? It's not going to be about political transaction. That's what and that's what is going to divide and balkanize the entire CPC structure. So I don't see them working as a whole going forward. Buhari is out of the picture. He's been that central figure holding them together. And what you're going to find out is that everybody will just say their own personal ambition. That's my own opinion and thought about this entire CPC.
Well, the Punch is quite confident that the CPC bloc may even leave the APC now that Muhammadu Buhari.
There's no bloc anywhere, really. That's what I'm saying.
That's
how the broken into pieces.
That's how the Punch is describing them. The Punch is calling them a bloc. So again, let's see how it pans out at the end of the day. We have another report here. Oh, this is Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Please forgive me. I know a number of you probably just tuned in. This is Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. We are the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola. We are reviewing the dailies. We're looking at the top stories trending across all our dailies, and we're currently looking at the Punch newspaper. Fuad Said is on standby. Together we're having conversations around the many changes that have happened within the political scene in the last 24 hours with the exit of Atiku Abubakar from the PDP, and also the reports that the CPC bloc loyal to late former President Muhammadu Buhari may exit the APC and pose some sort of challenge for the APC as a whole. Let's move now to other stories for outside. Fayose whips as court clears him of 6.9 access to story. If you give me a minute for us to sort this out,
all right.
I'll be back. All right, I think I have access now. So the story tells us former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose was on Wednesday discharged of 6.9 billion naira fraud charges by Federal High Court sitting in Lagos. Following the judgment, an emotional Fayose broke down outside the courtroom as supporters celebrated the victory. Shortly after the ruling, Fayose knelt down outside the court premises and thanked God for what he described as a vindication. He was seen wiping tears from his eyes after hugging his lead counsel and exchanging handshake with members of his legal team. He also embraced the counsel for Spotless Investment Limited, Mr. Olalekan Ojo-San, who had joined the filing of the no-case submission that led to the acquittal. So let's just create a backstory for those who really don't understand what's going on. So the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, that's the EFCC, had accused Fayose, oh my God, I'm sorry, the website is acting out. Had accused Fayose and his company of laundering 6.9 billion naira during his tenure as governor between 2014 and 2018. The EFCC alleged dollars in cash from a sitting Minister of State for Defense at the time, Musili Obanikoro, without using a financial institution. He was also accused of laundering over 1.6 billion naira through proxies and companies like Deprivateers Limited and Steel Earth Limited in violation of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011. The case was initially filed on October 22, 2018 before Justice Mojísọ́lá Ọlátórẹ̀gùn, and the last hearing of the almost 7-year trial on May 19, 2025, Fayoshe's lead counsel, Chief Kanu Agabi San, urged the court to dismiss the charges, and he argued that the prosecution presented no credible evidence linking Fayoshe to any criminal act. He also questioned the absence of Abiodun Agbeli, allegedly involved in the transaction, on the charge list. I think the long and short of this particular story is that Ayo Fayoshe, after 7 years of a legal tussle with himself and the EFCC, he has been discharged and acquitted. And of course, you know, he is a dramatic. I don't know. He's just very elated about this. Although the EFCC are obviously very dissatisfied with this judgment and how they intend to move forward with this case. I guess we'll wait for information on that. Fuad.
No, the EFCC has said they will be considering appealing the judgment.
Okay.
Going to appealing the judgment. But wait to see whether there's going to be any serious attempt, to bring a better and a more substantial evidence against the former governor Ayo Fayoshe. Our legal system is very clear. Say, an accused is presumed guilty. Falls on the prosecution, the EFCC in this matter, because it's not just to say somebody has stolen money, he's laundered money. What proof do you have? And that's why when we hear the EFCC say, another being investigated or another governor will be arraigned in court, what I always say is that, look, are we sure there's going to be diligent prosecution? Diligent prosecution means, do we have what it takes? Are we going to be able to weather the storm of the legal laws? And that's why you see, since the establishment of the EFCC, how many governors have we been able to send to jail? We prosecuted quite a number of them. Some of them, their cases are unending. It will never end. Because again, they have the money to hire the best of lawyers who can continue to bring up technicalities, who can continue to bring up things, to delay court judgments, So, but a lot of times we've seen that the EFCC either bungles his own case, or is not able to also, prove beyond reasonable doubt before the court of law that these guys are. But here, when you accuse someone, you better have enough evidence on ground to prove that they're actually guilty. Or look at the case of Audius of the former governor of Abia State, for example. He was eventually found guilty by one court, but the other court discharged him on technical grounds. So, in the history of the FCC, if I get my facts right, we've only been able to send former Governor Joshua Dari of Plateau State and that of Taraba State, Reverend Johnny Yame, to jail. And we saw what happened under the Buhari government. After 2 years of serving their jail term, they were also pardoned and released. So what we've had is several cases against governors. Unending. We've even lost count. Let me tell you. We've lost count. But at the end of the day, we've not been able to see what I can call diligent prosecution of these cases to its logical conclusion to hold these guys to account. What we say, monies are missing, monies are laundered, they've done this, they've done that. And that's why you can see that even when they go to court, they go there so confident. People who spray monies at parties. The real monsters in the room who appear in the village square every now and then, it goes scot-free. That's why I'm not going to be hoping that anything is going to happen differently at the higher court on this Fayoshe matter. As much as I don't want to preempt the court, but let's wait to see.
Well, the EFCC needs to do better, actually, with the way they present their case, because there are loopholes in the law, as there are in every other system, and some people do know how to take advantage of these loopholes. I mean, I've seen a case where there was a case ended up as a mistrial because they obtained evidence without a search warrant. That was enough to throw the case, because the law says that was the problem. You can't search a person's property without a search warrant, and even when they were able to get damning evidence, because they didn't have a search warrant, that case was a mistrial. And
the process of getting that evidence itself was false.
So the law has loopholes. And if you know how to manipulate these loopholes, in most cases you get away. Very, very, very well. I wouldn't say very sad. I mean, congratulations to Ayo Fayoshe is what we can say.
Yeah, congratulations to him.
How the EFCC
he was very emotional. He cried.
Yes. I mean, come on. He's dramatic, and I mean this in the nicest of
You think he was not emotional? He was just showing us drama.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
Fuad, I'm not saying his act. People can be dramatic, their mannerisms, the way they speak, the way they stretch words.
So you think it was unnecessary? Really, it was just show drama.
I don't understand, Fuad. What have I ever done to you?
Maybe an old.
I don't know. Maybe it's an old video, but then
You know, he was the one that was propounding the theory of stomach infrastructure. He was a major advocate for stomach infrastructure.
Well,
you know, so maybe that was what came up again after the kiss. They have to show us that look, he's a man that likes to eat amala with people.
Fad, we're going to move on because we have a lot of very important conversations that we need to have. I'm still looking at the Punch newspaper. Unfortunately, this is the panic syndrome that this information might have caused. We have Punch saying the federal government dismisses Turkish claim of new terror group in Nigeria. Now, the federal government on Wednesday said that there is no new terror group in the country. This comes on the heels of a warning by the Turkish government that members of a terrorist group known as the Fethullah terrorist organization operate in Nigeria as well as in other countries around the world. The Turkish ambassador designates to Nigeria, Mehmet Poroy, also claims that the group was using schools and to mark the country's Democracy Day and National Unity Day. The presence of such an organization poses a threat to every country in which it operates. Unfortunately, the FETO terrorist organization still maintains its activities in Nigeria, particularly in the fields of education and healthcare. We consistently inform our Nigerian view with the Punch. The coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adamu Laka, urged Nigerians not to panic, stating that no new terrorist group existed in the country. He says there's no new terrorist group in Nigeria. There is no need to panic. And this FETO group is allegedly affiliated with the late Turkish cleric Fethullah Gulen, who died in 2024 at the age of 83 years old. Fuad.
This is political, I must say. As much as we should take seriously any alarm or warning of a new terrorist organization by any country of the world, I think that we have a very clear history of who Fethullah Gulen is and his relationship with the current leader of Turkey, Tayyip Erdogan. They used to be political allies until they fell apart. Because this is Gulen, very popular cleric, also very rich, has a very rich network, setting up schools and hospitals in different parts of the world. I think there's a Turkish international school, for example, somewhere in Lekki, that is also linked to him. Again, they fell apart because they think there was an insurrection, if you remember, some few years ago, more like an attempt to remove Erdogan from office by force, a coup, which Erdogan and the Turkish intelligence community thinks was sponsored by Gulen. And so what the Turkish ambassador basically was saying was that, look, we warned you guys that these guys who are setting up schools in parts of Nigeria and parts of the world are actually using it as a terror network. I don't think they've really been able to substantiate these schools and their link to any terrorist network in different parts of the world, other than for us to say that, look, this is more like just, calling the dog a bad name to hang it. These were allies who fell apart. And now you have the Turkish government who tells the whole world that, look, whatever this guy is doing, whatever is being done in the name of Gulen, in setting up schools and hospitals to promote terrorist networks in different parts of the world. Nothing substantial for now. So because of that, I think it's political. And I think I want to agree with the federal government that, look, there's really nothing to this information.
Says the Nigeria Police Force. There's also here that JAMB uncovers 9,460 illegal admissions in 20 tertiary institutions. No fewer than 9,469 admissions across 20 tertiary institutions nationwide have been flagged as fake by the Joint Admissions System known as CAPS. And according to the list obtained by JAMB, Kano State University of Science and Technology led the pack with 2,215 fake admissions, and Lɪਧᴇ Akintola University of Technology with 1,215.
Lautech.
Wow.
They are also part of it.
They have given forward ammunition against me. But it's okay.
Really?
Wow. I don't know how this happened, because trust me, the process is very, very hectic, Fuad. The process of scrutiny is
it Lautech? How do you know?
Don't worry about how I know. Okay, it doesn't matter. Gombe State University.
We have to begin to check.
Gombe State University. Emmanuel Alayonde University of Education. Please forward, I beg, Jari. Abia is there. Lafia, Nigeria State Polytechnic, Edo State Polytechnic, Anchor University is a lot really, where these things have been seen.
Admissions are offered outside of the CAPS, which is the JAM portal, for which admissions will be given to students. Because again, what it means is that the students are in school, but it's basically not being in school really.
Yes.
Because they are not known to JAM, and they are not able to get mobilization, for example, so who should be held responsible? That's what comes to mind now. Because how did these guys get these admission letters? How the figures now? We should hold people responsible and punish them accordingly if it is true.
Well, it's a very sad. Recently, there's been a lot of information about. Apparently, some people realize 5 years into their studies that the course they are studying.
Yeah, I think there's a story of a young guy. Yeah, a young guy who suddenly discovered that look, they said his admission is fake, and he's like, "Ow, I did everything. I wrote JAM. The school admitted me. My name came out. I got a matric number. I've been paying school fees without issues. Only for me at the last minute to be mobilized for NYC. They are now telling my admission is fake."
Aside from that, there are some schools that are not accredited to offer some courses, but they will still allow people to do that. Then 4 years in, you now be told that that course is not accredited in the school. So for every time I fill my document, I'll have to write physics because maybe physics is the course that is accredited in school. So there's that clash. So I graduate with physics, a graduate of physics from the university, and I cannot function because that is not what I studied in the university. Distorting the entire trajectory of these children's life, and universities need to do better, which is why I'm a tad bit opposed to the creation of more universities. I don't think it's more universities. It's making sure the ones available are efficient and stop distorting the lives of students who have to start. Imagine studying medicine and surgery, you're in your 70th and then they're not telling you one story. Your admission is fake. Where do you want to start from? It's just, it's scary, and my heart goes out to all the affected students.
I think we should get people punished, that's all.
Yeah.
Let's know who is involved in this and find a way to punish them. Maybe that will start as a form of deterrent.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about another national issue as we begin to look at the Guardian newspaper. We just finished with the Punch newspaper. We're moving to Guardian now on trends in the papers here on mainland 98.3 FM. Let's talk about the Constitution, Fuad. Obasanjo says 1993 General Chief Emeka Anyaoku, human rights lawyer Femi Falana, and former Akwa Ibom State Governor Victor Atta on Wednesday clashed over the relevance of Nigeria's 1999 Constitution at the National Summit on the Future of Nigeria's Constitutional Democracy in Abuja. The 3-day summit organized by the Patriots in collaboration with Nigeria Political Summit Group brought together political and civil society leaders to examine the legal framework underpinning corrupt and self-serving leadership. Anyaoku and Atta argues that the 1999 constitution imposed by the military lacks legitimacy and must be replaced. According to former President Obasanjo, it is leadership and not the constitution. I want to read some of the things that he says, yes, so that we can build the conversation from there. He says, from my experience, and I'm reading verbatim, I will be the first to acknowledge that our constitution needs amendment, but the most important issue is the operators of the constitution. It's been sacrificed on the altar of selfishness, corruption, impunity, and a disregard for morality and the rule of law. And he maintains that there is no amendment no matter what if Nigeria's political elite continue to act in bad faith at this critical time. Nothing will be different. And I'm also quoting the senior advocate of Nigeria now. The only way to discard the 1999 constitution is through a revolution. He accused the judiciary of blocking progress, citing Supreme Court rulings that rendered electronic voting tools like beavers and card readers optional or illegal. Falana condemned the National Assembly's constitutional review program with any reform that threatens the status quo. Until citizens apply pressure, we will not get real change, he warned. Fuad, this is what the leaders are saying. It's hardly the constitution, although a tad defective. It is the operators of the constitution, it is the judiciary, and it is also the opposition to those who dare to challenge.
Made a comment on this. Right. Are all correct. So Emeka Anyaoku and the Patriots are saying we need a brand new constitution. Because the 1999 constitution was imposed on us. And that, look, we need to agree as a people on how we want to function. Resource control, devolution of power are areas that these patriots expect us to address as a people. And there are a lot of Nigerians who believe that Nigeria is structured to fail. And that no matter what we do, no matter who is in charge, no matter who we elect, falls their thinking. We've had presidents after president, and it's still the same story. In fact, what we now have is a situation where a new president comes, and we begin to now value the old one and say, that one was better. So that maybe the structure can help to put us on the right path. Forms, constitutional amendments, and all of that. We must start with a revolutionary mind. And what is he saying? He first talked about the fact that, look, we need to reform the electoral process. That the elect day, a lot of Nigerians were very optimistic about the introduction of technology, BVAS. Only for us to know that, look, it is still manual pollution. And BVAS was just like a viewing center. It had no legal implication to electoral system. That's just one part of what we consider. We need to get to a point where, number one, we take away money, we take away manipulation, we take away thuggery from electoral process. So create, some form of ventilation to gated democracy where 80% of the people who rule us in the political space are they the kinds of quality of people we really want as our leaders? Let's ask ourselves. But those are the guys who have the money. Those are the guys who can play the godfatherism kind of politics. Very progressive in nature. And that's what the electoral process brings and gives to us. So you can also fall the argument of Femi Falana and SAN that, look, it's not just about the constitution. Let's start even with our elections. And we must have in that conversation is that of the former president, Jᴏɪᴜ S쏘ლიᴇ, who is saying that, look, you can have all the constitution in the world. Reform, change constitution, write another one. But what about the operators of the constitution? The constitution will not operate itself. And that's also a valid argument. What about the people behind the wheel? Oh, this car is no good. You bought another one. But you still gave it to a drunken driver. Say, no be there, he go see crash it here, you don't go crash up. The car is not good. And then we now gave it to the same drunken driver that crashed the first car. Would anything change?
No.
So what Obasanjo is saying is that, look, we also have to look at the quality of people behind the wheel of progress of this country. Can they, even if we have a brand new constitution, ensure that the right things are done? But that part of Chief Obasanjo's conversation also points to himself too. Abuse of power under him. Was it not under Chief Obasanjo that governors were illegally impeached? Governors were kidnapped. Governors were suspended. An attempt for third term. So messing up with the constitution.
All right, Fuad, maybe we should forget who the messenger is and focus on the message this time around.
That's always the problem. You see the problem now. When we get about it, say forget the messenger.
It's not the history of these people. It
also comes to mind is that Inoko, Ajala Tano. They started all of this. Yes, people talk about how people messed up their constitution today. It all started with him in 1999.
Okay, but then he's asking that it be fixed. It's just, I mean, it reformed. What if it's reformed at heart? You never can tell. Maybe he's trying to fix it at a time. We have Plateau urges calm as Riom attacked that Torazis 32 for the attack in Plateau State where 27 was the casualty figure. Unfortunately, it has risen to 32, and there's no indication that it might not go higher. Of the women wailing and crying, and we had one of the chairmen in that place who said that if the security agencies don't do killings that we're seeing in other states is a function of this distrust in the security agencies to protect them, and our heart bleeds for Plateau State, and we really hope that they're granted the fortitude to bear this horrible, persistent law with their back and forth and their war of words. Aregbesola, former governor of the state, and Ademola Adeleke, present governor of the state. One says, you left us with debt, you left us with a lot of problem, you did this and that. And it's just, Osun State residents are now worried because these are individuals who were very chummy and very cuddly with each other. But, well, politics will do what politics will do, unfortunately.
And now we can join them, scatter them now. So why are the people worried? They should focus on who can do the right thing for the people of Osun State. It's a state that I think has been a bit unfortunate in terms of leadership. I'm sorry, just my honest opinion. The era of Tᴏᴜ S쏘Ɂ maybe Lagos a bit of a disaster if you ask me. Aruf Aregbesola, they had to give him a name of Baba Futa because he was paying out salary. He was paying out salary. And then the one that he don't even feel it, as if there was a governor in existence at that time. And then you have this man now, who is only known for dancing in parties, has already been able to see anything tangible he's been able to bring to the table in terms of leadership. So for Osun people, maybe they have to turn to God and pray that God brings a savior for that state.
Right. Well, that's everything we can take this morning for Trends in the Papers. It's Open Mic Thursday, so when we come back, it's you who tells us what you want to talk about. Thank you very much, Fuad, for your analysis as always.
Thank you,
I'm Sage Babalala. We'll be back in another 10 minutes.
This is Nigeria, where every new day brings a fresh chance to dream bigger, push harder, and live confidently. But true confidence is more